Hi, I'm Justin.
Also, I hate the way my voice sounds, so if you can do whatever Photoshop does to voices, make me sound awesome.
And this is my lovely friend,
The beauty in the eyes of the beholder, and it's just about getting into the seat of being the beholder.
Hayley.
I don't think you have to be particularly perceptive. I just think you have to look up.
This podcast is mostly just her telling me stories.
If you expose yourself to the possibility that this might be really awkward, there can be something just really cool on the other side of it.
She thinks that her life and way of looking at things are
Oh, I was kind of waiting on you. I thought you were getting your stuff ready. You're waiting on me?
pretty normal.
You got to edit out all the misinformation about the Amish.
Maybe you can relate.
I would like a chance to re-sing the Amish Paradise.
If you want lighthearted stories
All right, you want to talk about goats?
and stream of consciousness,
I just woke up and needed some friends, and so I bought them.
then you're gonna like the Sunny Side Up podcast.
Sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up, sunny side up.
So, if you're at all like me, you may feel that you're living in a world that can be a bit overwhelming and confusing at times. I'm also a huge fan of podcasts, documentaries, docudramas, stories, and of just information in general. Between all of that and the social media and news, sometimes our brains can feel like they're on overload. Hayley and I hope that this podcast can be something of an antidote to all of that. Like little jello shots of joy and distraction. None of it is too serious or really too informative. Mostly it's just two friends who have conversational chemistry talking about whatever enters the minds of relatively ADHD people. We hope you enjoy.
Do you know what's... I don't have a story about it, but listening to those older episodes, you hear yourself talking, or say you're listening to something on the radio and you think, oh my gosh, I wish I could add this to the conversation. Mm-hmm. And you're like, oh, I would say this. Listening to you and me talk, I would say like, oh, I wish I had said, and it was never what actually came out of my mouth. Who am I? In my most Alice in Wonderland version of this, I am not who I was yesterday or whatever.
Yeah.
It's weird how what I was thinking in my head as I'm listening to us talk was never what I actually ended up saying. Like we had a conversation about mall Santa Clauses, and I don't think I even mentioned that was my first job. Well, second job, but first job for working for like a real other person besides my parents.
Wait.
I was not the Santa Claus.
Okay, I was just going to say, I'm really confused.
Yeah, no, I got to take pictures of the mall Santa Claus.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and Easter also. I did get to wear the Easter Bunny suit one time. That guy agreed to trade with me, but it didn't fit me as well as it fit him, so it only happened once. But
yeah,
why would that have not been the thing that I mentioned is the most relevant thing I had to offer? And yet, it's like, it's just funny what we hear in hindsight.
Yeah, that's why 2020 is hindsight's 2020 is a euphemism. So, okay, in your job as taking pictures of, probably kids who are freaking out on Santa's lap, which we already talked about. You made some really good points about how creepy that whole scenario could potentially be. Like, sit on stranger's lap and tell him what you want, and hopefully, if you do a really great job convincing him, you'll get it. I never thought about the creepy angle of it like that. So thank you for bringing that to life and ruining anybody who has fond and nostalgic memories of that.
That's what I do.
That's what you do.
Cold water.
I do what I do, girl. But so when you were taking pictures, were there any moments where you're like, wow, this is a true Kodak moment, except what me and you would think is a Kodak moment, i.e. meltdown?
Yeah, so these, which I'm sure it's all digital now, but at the time it was Polaroids because aging myself. You would try not to waste much film because you had to account for it at the end of the day, how much film you had used, how much money you had taken in.
Oh, wow.
If it was a particularly bad shot and a mother was dead set on having this precious memory, then you would retake. But if it was even passable, sometimes you would try to let it go. But again, Polaroid film was pricey. I don't know if you ever...
and by the way, Polaroid film now I think has gotten even worse.
Probably, and it's trendy with the youngsters, so it's a thing. But I assume mall Santa stuff is now digital.
I'm sure.
They've probably found a more efficient way to make those magic moments happen. But if it was a terrible image, like my mom probably would have kept it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
a lot of other mothers would be upset. So you would just throw it away and try again and hope for the best. And sometimes you could tell it's just not going to happen.
Yeah.
But I was, I don't know, 15 years old. So a lot more willing to work really hard to make a little child happy.
Yeah.
Whereas now I just be kind of impatient and be like,
Yeah.
y'all might want to visit
move
the
it
food,
along. Yeah.
go to the food court and then come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't have a ton of memories about that experience. I know I took the job because I was living in that town. It was nearby, and I wanted to do that. But in order to be the person who takes the pictures of the holiday Santa Clauses and Easter bunnies, you had to join this group.
Mm-hmm.
And the group's function included modeling clothes at the occasional mall fashion show.
Hold on. In what world is the person that has the skills to shoot everybody in frame squarely also the person who can model a dress? Like, how in the
Thank you.
world? Yes.
Well, so they would have auditions, and everybody would come apply to be a part of this group. And
Okay.
then they would source from that group who would work. Do you want to do Mall Santa Claus? And most people who were signing up for the group were doing it because they wanted to be models for the mall, because this was...
I mean, mall modeling is kind of the height of...
this was the 90s.
Yeah,
and so I guess that's the thing that most people wanted to do. But fun fact about me is that I've never been the most attractive person in any room that I've been in. And modeling was
not true.
what I would have put in my list of worst fears. We might have mentioned this in a prior season, and
No.
I don't remember it. But one of my stress dreams is that I'm about to have to walk on stage in a beauty pageant. I just find that
wow.
completely unnerving.
Yeah.
So modeling for the mall, I was like, no. And they're like, you have to. And I
Wow.
did, in fact, at one point have to model formal wear.
For the mall.
Yeah.
That's
I had to
amazing.
go to a mall vendor and ask her to do my hair and makeup for it because I didn't own any and had never used it before. And in hindsight, that's pretty gross. You can exchange a lot of bacteria through your mascara, but I didn't know it at the time. So
Yeah.
ignorance is bliss. But
Yeah.
there's a couple of photos of that moment surviving. But the reason I signed up was so I could have the job during the holidays.
So you basically suffered through the modeling so that you could have this...
Gainful employment.
The gainful employment.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then I guess in other years, the mall probably was just really counting on some of those pretty girls with modeling aspirations to have
Some photography
decent,
experience.
yeah, some money handling and basic photography skills. So.
I love that. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
It may explain why some of those Santa Claus pictures of our childhood did not turn out so great.
Like,
Now you know.
Now you
this is the
know.
behind the scenes.
This is behind the scenes. That's awesome. Hello, lovely friends. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. And it would mean the world if you would tell other people about this podcast and maybe even spam your social media accounts with just how much you're enjoying it. If you are, of course. Also, commenting and rating us on whatever platform you're downloading or streaming from is incredibly helpful to a little startup podcast like this one. On the other hand, if you are dissatisfied with your listening experience, please leave all of that hate on someone else's podcast. Just maybe to confuse them a little bit, right? But most of all, we hope you keep looking up and looking for the sunny side of life.